All right, I took a little break and we're back with the 900s. So going forward, we're gonna spend a little bit less time on sort of the fundamental basic strategy stuff, and then we'll start talking a little bit higher level. So that's kind of the pattern that I like to do for these. So let's talk about our players. We have Caballonegro, or probably Caballonegro, who's currently 981. A full 1,000 games played, which is crazy. I think he must be into free for alls because he only had about 100 or so league games. And Mr. Mumu 395. Shout out to Mr. Mumu. So 910 rating, about 150 games played on league, and it looks like he primarily does league. So Caballonegro has been around for a long time. I recognize the name, and I'm not so familiar with Mr. Mumu. So, all right. So the map here is Scorpion Operation. This is a really good classic map. I love this one. I guess we'll sort of see how these guys want to play it. Typically, the way people talk about it is that the two base side, base here, it pushes down the one base right here really strongly. You can like send mechs through these mountains. You can park artillery in these mountains. You get all these extra infantry built from these two bases, so you can, shield your mechs and your artilleries. B-copter, there's an airport here, and B-copters are very good. The main thing to look for in evaluating how B-copters might fare is look at how many sort of like channels or zones there are that are kind of blocked off by mountains or rivers. So you can see here, there's a zone right here where anti-air can sit. There's a zone right in here where anti-air can sit. And there's this kind of middle area, and then the same on the other side. So if you have a B-copter over here, it takes an anti-air here to cover this, takes an anti-air here to cover this, and then maybe one in the center too to prevent the B-copter from just rotating up into the center and hitting for free. So I guess the point is here, if the anti-air really, if it takes a lot of anti-air to cover the map, then oftentimes you'll see B-copters answered with B-copters. So yeah, I think that's maybe the main flavor of the map that I want to talk about. We'll see how these two players play it. I think 900 is kind of the stage where you start thinking more about map strategies, CO choice strategies, and learning some of the details of the game rather than just the general sort of axioms. Okay, so as for the CO choice, we see Lash versus Eagle. Now, yeah, I will. Pretty sure Eagle just totally demolishes Lash. The map is not. It's kind of hard to stall here, typically, but it is possible. I've seen some of the stall, specialists pull it off, but it's kind of hard to tell if like people at even playing levels can pull it can do it to each other. But it's at 900, anything's really possible. So sort of we'll see what goes on here. I think Lash is not a bad choice. It's just unconventional in tier 3. The main consideration is that her mechs can sit in these mountains and do tremendous amounts of damage. I mean, the issue is that her B-copters are gonna struggle versus Eagle. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, the terrain is fairly heavy. There's like these forests here, and as I said, all the mountains. So right around this mountain area, I think is where Lash wants to sort of set up and take engagements if she can. But we'll see how she deals with Eagle's B-copters and then subsequently his ultra powerful Super CO power. All right, so so far pretty clear. Looks like they're both going for what I think is like a pretty common opening, which is they take their one base side and they move up here. This has the benefit of, you can chain immediately into the next city if you want to, or you can move to the outside, go for this pesky city here, which oftentimes switches hands. So if you're worried about losing, if you really want to be sure that you get this city early on, you can pretty much guarantee it by capturing here, going left, and capturing. Actually, I'm not sure how much of it is a guarantee, but you can make like a pretty strong early go for it. Okay, so Caballonegro actually captures this city here, which is not the craziest thing in the world. Of course, it delays the space by 1 turn, which is why it's kind of weird. But occasionally it's okay to delay base builds by 1 turn if it means extra cities in the meantime. So, yeah, we'll see how that works out. Really, the reason why you do this is so that you can hit a timing typically. So that like you get a tank 1 turn earlier, you get a B-copter 1 turn earlier. There's a few things like that you can sometimes pull off with, base delay captures. So that's we'll keep an eye on the gold funds here, and if it reads 0 at any point, we'll know. Okay, we'll look for how tight the build was, and then when it reads 0, it would mean that it would be necessary. How do I say this? If it reads 0, then it means that it wouldn't have been possible without this infantry skip towards the beginning of the game. So, all right, that was a mouthful. Everything else here is pretty normal. So oftentimes, like a pretty popular opening idea here is you like go for you go for B-copters as soon as possible, because they're just really powerful in the opening. Okay, so Mumu goes for a tank actually straight ahead from this base. It might be refuted by an artillery from Caballonegro here. So artillery here, and then the artillery moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you move an infantry into this square. And then the idea is that you've choked off the city, your artillery locking this city. You have like decent odds at capturing it, and the tank kind of doesn't do anything. So we'll see if the artillery build, see if first of all he goes for an artillery, second of all if it does anything. Okay, so here's the so here we have the 0 gold build. So it looks like it was just in time for tank artillery. I mean, B-copter would have been a pretty reasonable thing too, although that wouldn't have, unless he went B-copter infantry mech or something. But he doesn't really have use for a mech this early. So yeah, I think this is a fair build. The artillery here, well, the awkward thing is the artillery is going to be a little bit late to the party. The infantry is going to finish capturing this before it gets hit. But I guess the good thing with the artillery is it allows you to, capture, move, finish capture, and then set up. And then the artillery now is set up protecting the city, so you can go for captures. It would have been a lot better if Caballonegro happened to have an infantry ready to interrupt this capture, but it's just not the case, and it's fine. It's just, yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's a small suboptimal situation. Okay, so Caballonegro is now up to artillery tank. Sort of, it looks like despite the fact that he went for this early capture, he's still kind of trading back and forth with vehicle builds. Typically, what you want to see if you're going to sacrifice a base, if you're gonna base skip, uh, it's nice to see. It's nice to say like tank, tank, respond with tank. I don't know. Yeah, how do I say this? It's like you like to see a tempo in terms of vehicle builds, but I don't think we really see that. I mean, it's nice, but I don't know if it's worth the base skip because the issue with the base skip here is it delays this property and then it delays some of these properties out here. So it's actually kind of costly in the long term. I'm not sure if this super early artillery is really worth the extra long-term cost. Okay, so this pickup here, killing the infantry is really nice. I mean, basically, whenever you can take engagements that win you a unit, um, that's it's worth like a fair amount in my opinion. Especially if you're in a situation where it's like stall versus non-stall. If a stall like if a stall player is too low on units, it's hard to stall. And by comparison, if they're trying to stall and the attacker has less units, then it's easier to defend. So something to consider. And this is certainly that situation. Like Lash needs to like do early heavy damage versus Eagle before he and prevent him from sort of stalling out, getting a huge army, and then wiping with Lightning Strike. So the risky thing about what's happening here with the way that Mr. Mumu just played that is now this infantry gets to die for free from the tank. The artillery kills this infantry, and then this guy runs away home, and this infantry here blocks the artillery successfully. So that's like another 2 units that he's lost without killing any. Okay, well now he's fine. He's fine. Okay, the interrupt is interesting, but it dies to the B-copter. Okay, I'm on the fence about that one. It's just kind of a detail, not tremendously important at this level. Okay, so I'd say the real danger that Caballonegro is facing here is that like this B-copter can go anywhere, and he's base skipped in order to do anti-air, and even still that like barely covers all the places this B-copter can go. So that's you would have liked to see like anti-air B-copter, I think, not anti-air, but it's kind of like a desperate knee-jerk move. Okay, well now actually that the tank is able to continue this interrupt, this is like a pretty good situation for like he might pick up another unit here at the cost of one of his own. So that's decent for Lash. There's a lot of free hits going on. That's something that you see quite a lot less of the higher you go up, but occasionally you'll see like situations where you give up where you're trading free hit for free hit, but it's not terribly common. Yeah, so and then as I was talking about with like the 2 anti-air barely covering this one B-copter, The issue here is like now these two infantry can't sit safely on these two mountains because the anti-air can't reach this square and this square. The B-copter can go here or here. So now these infantry kind of have to like pack in close. And the B-copter also serves as a way of like two-hit KOing to like open up chains. So this has to be a good wall. There's a lot of walls that are breakable here. This is a breakable wall. Yeah, this is a problem. Um, yeah, it's about to be a really bad time for Caballonegro. And from what I can tell, I think these players are both good enough to like capitalize on mistakes. It's just they might not quite be at the level of like reading ahead into every turn they do to make sure they're not making these mistakes. Okay, what? Okay, that's crazy. What? Okay, so here's what I like here. The perspective is gonna get all cruddy, but okay, can you see this sort of? Oh, you can. Good. Okay. All right. So here's what I like. I like this, and I like this. It's eagle, so it's a guarantee. And then I like this. This is like extremely punishing. It's probably only does 4. Yeah, this is like, and then you finish the cap here. Yeah, this is like really ruins this push. The artillery has to go back and cover up. He's lost an infantry. This whole side is kind of naked. The B-copter can hit everything over here. The tank has to retreat. It's just a bad time for yellow. So this miss is like, yeah, that if you would have hit that, I think he would have been in an excellent position. But instead, he goes for some like, I think maybe what he was thinking is that he didn't want to put anything in artillery range, but yeah, the B-copter can deal with it. This move though, like finishing off the infantry, I think the thing like it's a type of tactic that you see sometimes, which is like either you choose between firing with the artillery or hitting with the anti-air, and then you make that move and you're like, ooh, which one are you gonna do? Which one are you gonna do? But unfortunately, the right move is you just retreat the artillery and hit with the anti-air. Um, and that just like is completely winning for yellow. I mean, I didn't like make that silly voice to mean that it's not a good tactic. It's just like I don't know. It's just the feeling that I get when I make the move. Okay, and actually an absolutely crazy move diving with the B-copter into anti-air range without tank backup. Yeah, so he's like gonna lose 2 B-copters here. Maybe he's thinking along the lines that he wants to sack for charge immediately. But that's actually kind of that's not what you want to do. You want to like the perfect Eagle Super CO power situation is there's no fighting until there's suddenly a ton of fighting, and then like you hit with all your stuff, you get lightning strike, and then you win the game. It's less good to be stuck at like 5 stars of charge for a while because that's like the five stars of charge don't net you anything because you can't threaten anything because his CO power is garbage. Um, so yeah, you want to be like either 0 charge or like full or next to full. Okay. All right. So some moves. He does like this attack looks pretty good, I think. I don't see a cost efficient way for yellow to do anything. And then the artillery covering the capture is really quite nice. Okay, so kill the B-copter. Okay, losing the tank there in order to delay this cap. I don't think it's worth it. It's your one base side, so you typically don't want to trade unit for unit, and this is like just losing a unit, so that's scary because now you risk, big arty wall versus one base, which is like a losing proposition. Yeah, look at how strong this wall is actually. There's well, I guess you can do tank hit arty, and then you're doing tank hit tank. This is like the third base skip maybe I've seen. It's effectively the third. Maybe there have been more from Caballonegro. Yeah, he base skips in order to get Beecopter tank. That is borderline because the Beecopter is like long overdue and an excellent unit. The tank really kind of is a fix up here. So even though he's kind of been base skipping a bit, I think it's okay to base skip to hit this tank. Like this one I approve of. Although I don't really approve of the tank sack to delay the capture by one turn because you're gonna lose it anyway. You're just delaying it by one turn. Yeah, so he does go for the artillery hit. Oh, and the anti-air hit. So he like really doesn't like his tanks. This is like strategically really not what you see from Eagle very often. Um, yeah, again, like the idea with Eagle is you just kind of want to slow play, slow play. I mean, you take winning engagements when you see them, definitely. If you're handed a winning exchange, don't pass it up. But like an obviously winning exchange. But these kind of like half sacks where you're like diving, doing a bit of damage, and then losing the unit. Uh, Definitely try to avoid those is my recommendation because again like it means that when the dust clears he's going to have fewer tanks in order to use his lightning strike with. Okay, here's prime tactics. That's interesting. Oh, and actually, okay, maybe the sacks were preempting. um Maybe he's like big brain. He actually lost that beecopter, which is tremendously huge. Um, that's yeah, it's really not what you want. I mean, the like you can see it as like again, you're oh, I'm sacking in order to charge lightning strike, but I would say if you're sacking to charge lightning strike, like pack all of the sacking into one turn. Because like if you have the opportunity of like sacking now versus sacking later, sack later because then you have the stuff now. Yeah, so yeah, I would say definitely some strategical decisions that I don't really approve of. And then now you're actually well, this is unrelated, but so Mumu now actually has to deal with the decision of figuring out whether he wants to lightning strike into a prime tactics or if he wants to wait a turn, and we'll see. But my first thought is probably wait a turn. There's so much dead stuff. This is like this looks pretty winning for Caballonegro. Okay, dives with the beecopter, and it's gonna get smacked by the anti-air unless he lightning strikes. This might be the status lightning strike. Please don't lightning strike. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Okay, good. All right. He has a chance. Kind of. I mean, this beecopter is also completely uncontested. So that is a big problem. Um, yeah, I mean, so far, I think the theme is hanging units, and then uh, very like flashy and risky, but ultimately not very good sacrifices. Oh wait, we already clicked through this. Oh no, this is the next day. Did he super? Oh, okay, he supered. Uh, he's gonna eat the anti-air on the beacopter, the mech on the tank from a city as Lash. It's not looking good. I'd be pretty shocked if if purple um pulled it out here. I still don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but there's like this weird hiss. It's like horror music hiss sound thing. Okay, so luckily the beacopter is only down at 5 HP, so it could have been worse. But it can take another anti-air shot from 2 HP if Caballonegro really is feeling himself. So actually, one thing that's kind of crazy is Mr. Moo is doing pretty well on unit count. So at least he has that going for him. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, we're all good. So yeah, the unit count advantage is a little bit unexpected, but I guess those base skips add up. Okay, so Eagle, Bobter on Bobter, that's huge. But there's there's like a tank Bobter versus anti-air tank. It's like a even-ish army composition. I don't know about going after this mech that's capping though. Unless you're going to get fancy and dive on it. Because now, like, your 5 HP Bopter is now hurt and it's going to die. Okay, so things have stabilized. Once again, like, Eagle game plan, if Mr. Mumu can, or just happens to slow things down a bit, I think he can turn the game around in, like, 10 turns. Because again, like, I think Eagle's the better CO, but he's just being piloted in a little bit of an unconventional way that I don't think is working out. Okay, this Bopter's about to die from the anti-air. So that's gonna really, unless the tank could move down and cover. Okay, Mumu actually up, 2K, but I think it's that city that's kind of keeping him there. Yeah, and sure enough, here's the dive with the anti-air going deep. Looks like this city is going to be captured next turn for sure. Yeah, nice army positioning to sort of get free hits with the beacopter on a tank. The nice thing here is that Mumu is in a good position to start taking these two cities, so this loss of a city is not going to be a big deal. Kind of a weird move here, moving the tank onto the city when there's nothing that can hit it. There's like no tanks in the whole area that are threatening to it. Okay, yeah, okay, so we'll see if purple can stabilize here. It's going to be tough, but purple's looking pretty good here. Okay, here comes Prime Tactics. With a base locking artillery, which is pretty crazy. Although it does look like there's going to be a shot onto the anti-air, so this B-copter can run mostly free. Okay, this is kind of a crucial turn. We'll see what Mumu can do here. Lightning strike on the horizon. Prime tactics up. We'll see if he sees the shot onto the anti-air. I think that's worth sacking for. Okay, now he can't do it anymore. Oh, no, no, of course. He just goes onto the forest. What am I saying? Okay, so the medium tank here, this is like kind of risky because if Caballonegro has this medium tank and it gets shut down by infantry walls and this one artillery, then this is like a huge waste of money. But if it sort of stands and like does well, then it could really work out. Also, that Bopter sack was probably ill-advised. Oh, and Lightning Strike is on the table right now. Okay, not quite in range of the medium tank, but that would be cool. Okay, both artillery are going down, and Mumu can do something as bold as a medium tank here to really crush this. And I mean, like, seriously crush this. Kill both artillery, kill the mech, and then have, tank fight, have tank on tank. I think it would be. You could do infantry kill with tank kill to kill this and kill both anyway, and then you could do something uh like B copter tank as another option. I think we're seeing lightning strike, yeah. Okay. Does that kill? Okay. But infantry finishes it off and that's fine too. Nice, so what did he build? He built tank infantry, and then he's gonna infantry out. Okay, that's fair. Maybe he didn't have enough money for the. Yeah, that's a really nice comeback. I think he's not going to lose so many tanks that he's going to be in trouble. Okay, so this is actually a risky move here. I'm not sure what the calcs are. So does the medium tank one-shot any of these? In particular, does the medium tank one-shot this infantry? Um, it do. Oh wait, hold on. From a road though, it does not. Okay. All right, so that's a solid wall then. So that's excellent news. Mr. Mumu up in income, way up in unit count, a little up in unit value. This is like I wouldn't resign here. I'd play it on another turn as yellow, but like it's looking pretty scary for him. Okay, the mech there. Well, yellow has no anti-air down here at all. So Mr. Mumu just needs to move his B-copter onto the airport and then just win the game immediately. I mean, like, he doesn't have enough money for his stealth, but he could actually combine for his stealth if he wanted to be flashy about it. Yeah, hit the anti-air, exactly. Exactly. Everybody likes an eagle win. Yeah, this is an excellent comeback. Excellent, excellent comeback. And I think this is probably resignable. Yeah, resign right here. Wow, very cool game. Very cool game. Okay, so I think the number one moral of the story is like no matter how much like a 1200 player tells you your game's over, if you're rated 900, the game's not over, dude. Like there's always a way to win. Well, maybe, I don't know. Well, there was this time. Okay. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think stuff got kind of dicey for purple when he started sacking units left and right. Again, like the preferred way to play out Eagle, by everyone I talk to at least, uh, is kind of slow the game down, stall, get lots of value on the board, and then game-ending lightning strike. Whereas this kind of value sacking thing, where you're like constantly sacking value, to like accelerate lightning strike, interesting idea. I'm not I'm not convinced it really would work with the players I play against, but yeah, it was interesting to see it played out, and he took the win here against a lower tier CO, but who arguably stands a chance in this tier. Yeah, I think that's fair. So, like right here, the game looks pretty over, but there's lightning strike right around the corner and takes a chip out of the artillery, and then again, tons of unit value, but then the lightning strike immediately really, really turns the tide here. And I mean, like, seriously, look at this. Like, one, two, three, four, 5 units dead. And it's tank, artillery, or artillery. Now there's no artillery on that front. And it's tank versus tank and a uncontested but B-copter because this one anti-air is locked into the mountain pass. So yeah, really a few like well thought out tactics here. A few moments that I thought were a little bit sloppy, but maybe it could be argued it's strategy that I just like don't agree with. So yeah, GG to both players for sure. That was a cool game. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's really cool seeing people play on all levels. So it's I'm really happy to continue doing this series. So with that, we'll end the 900s and move on to the 1000 rating.